rather the complete inducement entry. We have first spoken about the inducement entry, but now we are going to be talking about the complete inducement entry. The complete inducement entry has an addition to it, just one thing that the inducement entry did not have. So first of all, let us recall the inducement entry. The inducement entry is an entry we use for a trade. We It's comprised of two phases. The phase one, the first phase, then the inducement phase. The first phase consists of the start, interval, liquidity, interval, liquidity, interval, liquidity, extreme. Then the inducement phase consists of the inducement start that takes liquidity but doesn't take the extreme, then the close. So this is our inducement entry. I believe if you have gone through the PDF, you understand it very well. So what we want to introduce into our inducement entry, our complete inducement entry is opposing liquidity, resisting liquidity, and call it any. But for the sake of this video, we'll call it opposing liquidity. Because here's our inducement entry: start, interval, liquidity, interval, liquidity, interval, liquidity, interval, extreme. Then it comes down. You see these liquidities, they act as fuel. It comes down, takes fuel, then drives up. So if this liquidity acts as fuel, we should ask ourselves what the effect of liquidities that are opposite going to cause in this market. For example, if we had a market that was like this, yes, let's say there was a market like this, there's a liquidity here, there's a liquidity here. We should ask ourselves what the effect of this liquidity is. Is it going to act as fuel for a move like this? It's very much possible. It is very much possible. So this here is what we call opposing liquidity. Opposing liquidity. So that's what we're going to add to our entry, our inducement entry, to make it complete. Because without the opposing liquidity, our entry is not complete. So no need for you to cram the pattern. Understand the principle. Do not cram the pattern. Understand the principle. In that our inducement entry comes like this, then it takes 4 from this liquidity. We have 3 liquidity here: 1, 2, 3. This is the start. Once it breaks the start, it breaks this level, it has been invalidated. Takes liquidity, then it travels up. This liquidity serves as 4. That is the principle behind the inducement entry. Now let us discuss the principle behind the complete inducement entry. Yes, when there is not when there is always opposing liquidity. We are not certain if the market is going to go against this opposing liquidity. So our inducement entry, we must make sure our first phase, our phase one, takes an opposite liquidity before our second phase starts. Without this opposing liquidity, we should not look for second phase. For example, let's say phase one comes like this. You see, it has created liquidity. Now it has taken the liquidity and it has closed. Normally, this pink line here is a complete inducement entry. But what we're saying now is no, It is complete in the sense that I created an higher high, lower low, higher high. This lower low, yeah, there's the liquidity. It took the liquidity, but it did not take the start. It took liquidity, then closed above. What we're saying now is this is not complete. Chances of this being invalidated is very high because this liquidity could hold. It hasn't. The market hasn't shown you that it is going against opposing liquidities. So for us to know that the market is going against opposing liquidity, the closest liquidity must be taken, the closest solid liquidity must be taken before or before the inducement. So for example now, this is the closest solid liquidity. What we look for in phase one is something like this. You see, it has been taken. This is what we look for in phase one. Then phase two, that's when we look for inducement to take place. Sorry, let me change the color. Engagement to take place, then boom. This is a complete set. Opposing liquidity taken, fueling liquidity taken. You know this liquidity here fuels the move. This liquidity here opposes the move. Opposing liquidity, fueling liquidity, then move. Okay. So let us put that down in writing so that we have it. Number one, you look for opposing liquidity to be taken and fueling liquidity. You know the rules behind fueling liquidity. The stats must not be taken, then close, then move. Or what should we say? Yeah, spring bounce. This is the word for it. Mm, expanse. This is a popular word we know. Expansion. Opposing liquidity, fueling liquidity, then expansion. You see, this is what we're looking for. Now, mind you, this is not the only way phase one can appear. Phase one can come. Okay, let's copy this. Sorry, I'm coming. Yep. Now, yes, we have this. Now, phase one can come in this form. Let's delete this phase one here. Can come in this form. That's it. Okay. Phase one, it rises straight without forming liquidities. It rises straight to take the opposing liquidity without forming liquidity. Takes the opposing liquidity before it forms a liquidity. Hmm? This is how phase one could. Phase one could come like this, and there's nothing wrong with it as long as the liquidity formed, then fueling liquidity taken, then the expansion. You see, phase one could come in this way, and it doesn't mean that this has to be multiple, and it could take multiple liquidities as well, in the sense that it could take. You see, it has taken these two liquidities, then this. So this is the complete liquidity, complete inducement entry, opposing liquidity, fueling liquidity, then expansion. Before our inducement entry, we discussed just the fueling liquidity and the expansion. We did not call it that name, fueling liquidity, but now we're naming it properly. We're calling it because it fuels the expansion. Now, it is a must for the opposing liquidity to be taken, then the fueling liquidity taken, then expansion. And know the rule. The start must not be crossed when the fueling liquidity is being taken. This is the start. It must not be crossed. The stack must not be crossed. So that is it. Now, for the purpose of keeping this video short, let us look at how this works in the live market. Now see this here. Now see this here. This is $0. Let us draw the move here. Let us draw the move. See, it's a downtrend, lower lows with lower highs. So this is the downtrend. Now, how do we know the uptrend is about to start? Look at it. The phase one. The phase one must take the previous liquidity. It must take. Look at the liquidities here. We are avoiding that because in this case there's a massive one that was taken. So let us use that one as example. Look at it. If you see, you see these higher highs and higher lows. Usual order seems to back. Okay. Now we can see it properly. It creates its higher highs and higher. You know, in the real market, it's not uniform. Now, this has been taken. This has been taken. This liquidity has been taken. It's from this point that we'll look for our falling liquidity. These are opposing liquidity has been taken. At this point, we look for our falling liquidity to be taken. Now, look, this is the closest liquidity here. And you see it was taken. Look at it. It was taken. Then, boom, there's a candle close here. When we see something like this, we enter our trade here and off we go. As you can see, the market rallied up. It happens everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. So you just have to understand how to put these whole things together. Put the whole thing together. Let's look at another example. Look at one here. Okay. Let's look for one. Before you look further, you will see. Huh? It's everywhere. You see, it's here. If you can see it already, but let us call out a more obvious one. Aha, this one is very obvious. So let us draw our downtrend. To avoid stress, let us start from close by. Here, let's not go too far. Huh? Let's not go too far. So we see our downtrend here. Then price was about to switch upwards. That was when it did its phase one, first phase. Did this. You see, now it has crossed. There was liquidity here. There was liquidity here. Now it has crossed. After the crossing, we look for after the opposing liquidity has been taken. This is the first phase for opposing liquidity to be taken. After it has been taken, we look for falling liquidity. The falling liquidity can be found in our first phase. You see, the first phase is in pink. This is the opposing move, opposing liquidity taken. The first phase is in pink. So we look for opposing liquidity to be taken. Now, okay, this extended to somewhere here. Now, our opposing liquidity comes like this. It takes our falling liquidity. It takes the falling liquidity without crossing the low. And see, you see this line, this broken line. Yes, there's a candle close here. Let's draw the line so we'll see it properly. You see, there's a candle close here. So at the close of this candle, you could long your trade and make your money. Let's say you want to long, yeah. You see, money made 1.7 if that's what you want. If you want something more, it's still going. You see, 1:2. This is the 1 hour chart, and mind you, price is fractal, meaning that whatever happens in the higher time frames happens in the lower time frame as well. Whatever happens in the higher time frame, because this is 1 hour time frame, let's look for this in the 5 minutes time frame. Let us look for it. Let us see that it happens everywhere. Now look at this. Imagine catching something like this in the 5 minutes time frame. Let us mark the downtrend. Mind you, this happens reverse as well. I'm sorry I haven't done any example with that of catching a move that is coming down. Now you see, this right here is the last opposing liquidity. Let us draw it out. Right here is the last opposing liquidity. Now we see our first move. Our first move came all the way here. You see. Now this is not the end of the first move. It has taken the opposing liquidity, but it hasn't ended. It came down, then it continued. You see. Sorry, let me change this color for clarity. You see, now this is our first move. After it has taken this opposing liquidity, it created fueling liquidities along the line. Now what did price do? Price came, took the fueling liquidity. Okay, I'm coming. Let me draw this last fueling liquidity here. You see, here's the last one. What did price do? Price came, took it, and closed. You see, took it at the close of this candle. You can take your long. Imagine catching something like this. Just imagine. Imagine. Well, it's a dream though. In reality, we barely catch things like this just once in a while. But imagine catching it's already 1 to 4.7. You see. So that's our complete liquidity. You could do it for the reverse as well. For a down moving market, I think we should look for one of those. Yeah, sorry. This is where my plan ends, but I see it here. That's it for a down movement. You have it here. You have the down moves. You see, market is creating lower lows and lower highs. Then, sorry, we got it wrong. Down movement, what we're actually looking for is this. Yeah, what we're looking for is this. Yes. So this now is the last opposing this here is the last opposing liquidity. This here is the last opposing liquidity. So what are we now going to do? What we were first drawing was our supposed first phase. You see, it has crossed it now. First phase complete. We have our falling liquidity to the side. Now see what happened in our engagement phase. Candle close here. You see, normally the engagement phase could go straight, but just decided to point it out. Go straight. You see, it did not take this high. It did not take it. This high is still maintained. You see. Now candle close below is somewhere here. Then you make your money. You write the trend down. Say you want to short it. Short it somewhere here. Put your stop loss. If you want your 1 to 2, or since this is a short one, you see 1 to 1.69, that's enough. Since generally it's an uptrend, you can just take a quick profit of this and that's it. So that's all, guys. Now the next video will be talking about um top-down analysis, how to put everything together. Now I've told you about the complete inducement entry. Make sure you understand it. And we'll talk about how to put it together in different time frames. Top-down analysis starting from the 1 day down to the 1 second. Everything. So stay safe.